You have until the count of 6. Choose which one lives, or they both die.
I never thought it would come to this. A blaster aimed at Jax and Lila, the two people I love most, and a clock counting down to one of their inevitable death. The room was dimly lit, casting eerie shadows on the gangster's face. Fear paralyzed me. My mind raced back to the past 2 years, a timeline filled with love, risk, and survival. I met Jax in a dingy cantina on Nar Shaddaa. He was playing Sabak, a common card game, and he was winning. His eyes met mine, and I felt a connection I couldn't explain. It was as if he saw the real me, not just another face in the crowd.
Care to join?
He asked, flashing a confident smile. That was the beginning of our partnership, and little did I know, the beginning of something more. A few months later, Jax and I were in the cockpit of a rusty freighter, dodging blaster fire from an Imperial cruiser.
Hold on!
He said. As the navicomputer beeped, Jax calmly said,
Passion got us here, but control will get us out.
With a pull, we jumped into hyperspace, losing the Imperial ship. Thanks to some astrogation tricks Jax knew, we barely escaped. Another adventure a year later, after a risky spice smuggling run, I took a hit from a stray blaster shot. Jax quickly bandaged my arm, his touch gentle, his eyes filled with concern.
You okay, Alara?
He asked. I nodded, feeling his genuine care for me. Our relationship was becoming more than just a partnership. I remember sitting with Lila, helping her with her astrophysics studies. She was solving a complex equation on gravitational fields effortlessly. You're a natural, I told her. She smiled, her eyes twinkling. Lila was always the bright one, full of questions and wonder about the universe. I've been her guardian since we lost our parents, and she's the reason I keep fighting. Lila once gave me a handmade bracelet crafted from scraps she found.
For luck,
She said as she tied it around my wrist. She may be young, but she knows the value of the little things that keep us human. The streets of our city were becoming more dangerous by the day. Gangs roamed freely, and the authorities turned a blind eye. After witnessing a violent gang skirmish just a block from our hideout, Jack said one night,
We can't stay here any longer.
and he was right. The environment was becoming too volatile. We had to leave. As the clock ticked down, my mind snapped back to the present. How the hell did I end up here? My thoughts began to drift, pulling me back to the events that led us to this moment. It all started earlier today at the starport, a place we've been planning to escape from this urbanized moon for months. We were so close to freedom, so close to leaving this wretched place behind. All we needed was that premium first-class keycard from a local crime lord to board a ship off this dreaded moon. Who was my mark? Kurgan Voss, a crime lord as malevolent as the black holes that littered the cosmos. A man of such ruthless cunning, crossing him was tantamount to signing your own death warrant. We'd been tailing him ever since we witnessed him secure a premium first-class ticket in the starport lobby. I had keenly observed which pocket he slid the keycard into, a small, triangular-shaped object that was our passport to liberation for me, my sister Lila, and my lover Jax. I laid eyes on him, a fearsome crime lord whose very name sent shivers down the spines of even the most hardened criminals in the region. His henchmen scanned the crowd with predatory gazes, but these were the streets that had raised me. I knew every blind spot they had. My heart hammered in my chest, each thud a solemn reminder of the perilous gamble I was about to make. With calculated nonchalance, I collided into him, letting a hasty sorry escape my lips as my fingers deftly slipped into his pocket. Time seemed to stretch, each second an eternity as I grasped a small pyramid object no larger than the palm of my hand. Adrenaline roared in my veins. I caught the eyes of Jax and Lila, and with the subtlest of nods, confirmed that the prize was mine. I approached the guard at the docking gate, taking a moment to appreciate the presence of Lila and Jax beside me. It felt like a brief respite in our chaotic lives. I held my breath, pulling out what I thought was the key card, but it wasn't. My heart sank, my mouth went dry, and time seemed to freeze. I looked down at a small red and black pyramid. What in the world is this? Frustration and confusion overwhelmed me. The guard's eyes narrowed. a mix of suspicion and impatience clouding his face. Before I could even process what was happening, a man yelled,
There they are!
Rough hands grabbed us, pulling Jax, Lila, and me away from the line. I heard Lila scream, a sound that pierced my soul. One of the guards, his face twisted in a cruel sneer, punched Jax in the stomach, and he cried out in pain. We were dragged into a dimly lit room, the door slamming shut behind us. And there he was, the crime lord Kurgan Voss, with a smirk that sent chills down my spine. The room was filled with a palpable tension like the calm before a storm. Kurgan Voss walked up to us, his eyes locking onto mine.
You thought you could steal from me and get away with it.
He sneered. And now, here I am, back in the present, with the clock still ticking down, each second pulling us closer to an uncertain fate. The high-pitched whine of his blaster's energy cell charging filled the room. He stood behind Jax and Lila, who were on their knees, with his blaster pointed to both their backs. Lila was sobbing, and Jax was grimacing, still reeling from the blows he'd received. 3 of Voss's goons, reeking of burnt illegal spice, stood behind me, blasters at the ready.
You have until the count of 6. Choose which one lives, or they both die.
My heart pounded in my chest, each beat a reminder of the impossible choice that lay before me.
5.
He continued. I felt a surge of energy and a dark whisper in the back of my mind.
4.
The small red and black pyramid in my pocket began to pulse.
3.
The energy was building. The feeling was almost unbearable now.
2.
My hand clenched around the small pyramid I had recently stolen, which glowed a dark, ominous red.
1.
In that split second, I screamed, channeling all my hate and anger into a surge of dark energy. The room trembled as I directed the force towards Kurgan Voss and his goons. With a swift, unseen motion, their heads and necks snapped back sharply. They slumped to the floor, lifeless, the immediate threat extinguished. Lila looked at me, her eyes wide with a mixture of fear and awe. Jax, clutching his stomach where he had been punched, looked at me with newfound respect.
Let's go!
Jax yelled. We quickly left the dimly lit room, the air thick with the smell of burnt spice and cold smoke from the starport's vents. I reached into Kurgan Voss's pocket and pulled out his ticket. It was our ticket to freedom, our escape from this hellhole. We made our way to the starport's first-class section, bypassing the long lines and the scrutinizing eyes of the security guards. This was a luxury only the rich could afford, and because we were already in a smuggler's port, people minded their own business. No one paid us much attention. As we boarded the ship, I couldn't help but feel a sense of relief wash over me. We settled into the luxurious seats, the soft cushions embracing us like a long-lost friend. I looked at Lila, her face white as a ghost, still in shock from what had just happened. Then there was Jax, strong and focused. I felt a moment of pure appreciation for them both, grateful for their presence in my life. Then I heard it, the engines of the ship lighting up, vibrating through the cabin as we lifted off. A sense of finality washed over me, as if we were leaving behind our old lives for good. Just as the ship steadied, my face flashed across the holographic screen scattered throughout the cabin. High-value target, the screen announced. My heart sank. We were far from safe. At that instant, the small red and black pyramid in my pocket pulsed with an almost seductive energy. I felt an irresistible urge to pull it out. As I did, it projected a holographic map, pinpointing a distant world far from the galactic core. I knew nothing about this world, but it seemed isolated, untouched by the chaos and corruption that plagued our lives. It was our only option. As I stared at the holographic map, a whispering voice filled my mind, as if the small pyramid itself was speaking to me.
Passion is the fuel for the journey, but control is the compass.
The words resonated within me, filling me with a sense of clarity and purpose I had never felt before. I looked at Jax and Lila, their faces a mix of fear and anticipation, looking at the small pyramid's projected red holographic map. I don't think they heard the voice, and I didn't want to add any more alarm to the situation. Well, I said, my voice tinged with a newfound sense of purpose and a hint of exhilaration. I think I know where we're going next. As I pocketed the pyramid, another whisper filled my mind.
Passion ignites the fire within, but control keeps it from burning everything around you.
The whisper vanished as swiftly as it arrived, leaving behind a lingering blend of empowerment and caution. I looked out of the viewport, first at the twinkling city lights of the small moon we had called home for so many years, and then up at the infinite expanse of stars stretching out before us. The ship's engines hummed, their steady vibration a counterpoint to the storm of emotions swirling within me. As we ascended, breaking free from the gravitational pull of the moon, a sense of finality washed over me. We were leaving behind a life fraught with danger and uncertainty, yet the path that lay ahead was another enigma in itself. Despite it all, for the first time, I felt equipped to face whatever the universe had in store.